All right, folks, let's get right to it. Our top story. Sha'Carri Richardson, the track phenom out of LSU, who hails from Dallas, Texas, was expected to compete for the gold medal for the United States in the Tokyo Olympics in 100 meters. But before the youth Olympic trials, she tested positive for marijuana. The decision came down, was announced today. She got a 30-day ban as a result. Here's the problem. The heats for the 100 meters actually begins within that window. She will not be able to run the 100 at the Olympics. A lot of folks have been talking about this all day, some calling this grossly unfair, saying that black athletes are being targeted. Others say the rules are the rules. She broke them. That's the case. I want to go right to my panel to talk about this here. Faraji Ahmed, a radio and television host out of Baltimore. We also have Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network, and Brittany Lee Lewis, political analyst. Okay, Brittany, let's start with you. Is this unfair that Sha'Carri Richardson will not be able to compete for 30 days because she failed a test? She went on the Today Show. She admitted that she did indeed do this. She said she made a mistake, has to live with the consequences. Your take?
Yeah, so I'm glad that she's taking accountability for her actions. I think that was absolutely the first thing to do. But I do believe that the rules governing marijuana usage at the Olympics are both vague and extremely subjective, Roland. I think it's pretty clear that marijuana is more therapeutic than it is harmful, since we see it as medicine and it's legalized in more than 30 countries. Not to mention the recreational marijuana is, although it's prohibited by the World Anti-Doping Agency, right, which governs this overall, their rules do state that it can be used in competition if an athlete has an approved therapeutic use exemption. So essentially, athletes can and do use marijuana if they obtain permission in advance. So yes, Sha'Carri should have taken the appropriate channels to get cleared to smoke, but let's be clear, it's not steroids and it's not a performance-enhancing drug. The other reason the committee says that smoking marijuana is against the rules is because it's a violation of the spirit of the sport. And I feel like that's really a vague way of saying you need to be a role model. And I think, again, it's not their job to be role models. I think it's their ability to demonstrate their ability as an athlete when they're competing. And then, of course, lastly, can we give her some humanity? She just lost her mother. She wouldn't be banned if she was using an antidepressant. And if we think of marijuana as a medicine that helps alleviate depression and anxiety, we should really let that girl run. The rules are subjective, outdated, and unfair.
But Faraji, the rules are not subjective. The reality is this here. Every athlete knows the rules. They are given a list of banned substances that they cannot use. They are tested. They know they are tested. Anybody who also knows that when you're the run up to the U.S. Olympic trials, you're going to be tested. And so the bottom line is she knew the rules. She broke them.
Absolutely, Brother Roland. I mean, she knew the rules. She did break them, and it's unfortunate that she broke them because I was rooting for Sha'Carri as well. But I think that we have to, I mean, this is a slippery slope because we know, I mean, whether you're talking about track and field or any other sport, marijuana, and I hear what my sister is saying, that it's kind of subjective, it's going to be used for therapeutic, but at the end of the day, athletes cannot use marijuana a day or two or a couple of days before they're about to go and compete. It's just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. I think that Sha'Carri did an excellent thing. She took ownership. She made herself accountable. But I don't think we should get into this part of trying to apologize and breaking the rules because it goes down a slippery slope. If we say, okay, she can use it, is it because of the emotional attachment? Is it because of the fact that, yes, I agree with you, athletes shouldn't be seen as role models, but guess what? They are role models and they can't run away from it. Okay. So we know that they don't get paid the big bucks. LeBron James and Michael Jordan. I mean, when you go down the litany of athletes, male or female, people love role models. So this, at this point, it was a bad choice, a bad decision. Unfortunately, it cost her a lot, but I hope and pray that she's able to learn from the situation and kind of get back into the game.
As I said, she went on the Today Show where she talked about exactly what happened. Here's what she said.
I want to take responsibility for my actions. I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm allowed not to do, and I still made that decision. But not making an excuse or looking for any empathy in my case, but just, however, being in that position of my life. Finding out something like that, something that I would say is probably one of the biggest things that have impacted me positively and negatively in my life when it comes to dealing with the relationship I have with my mother. So that definitely was a very heavy topic on me, and people don't understand what it's like to have to, or people do. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things we deal with. But to put on a face, to have to go in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, like who are you, or who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with a pain or you're dealing with a struggle that you've never experienced before or that you've never thought you would have to deal with. Like, who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you that you're wrong for hurting? So I think just honestly, just leading up to that, dealing with my mental health, dealing with my mental as is with leading up to the games, every time stepping on the track, definitely expected to be a record-breaking time or something like that. So just with that, pressure in itself was also just another thing. With this actually been my first full professional career, my first full professional circuit this year due to the pandemic. So just considering all of that put together, long time, my agent, my sponsor, my sponsorship, my family, knowing we dealing with all of this stuff. So.
All right, so here's what happened. So she had discovered from a reporter that her biological mother had passed away.
Right.
So what her folks were saying is that then for her to cope, then she actually took marijuana. Michael, obviously anybody can empathize with that devastating news.
Right.
But there's also a reality.
Mm-hmm.
You've been running track your whole life. You've been running track in high school. You ran track at LSU. You now are a world-class sprinter. For your entire track life, marijuana has been banned.
Right.
It's on the ban list. This is not, and also it's the rules of your sport. If this is the NFL, where if you fail a drug test, you go into their program, you continue playing. They have a protocol established. The NBA has a protocol established. I understand that this is sports. I understand about healing. We've had people on talk about the therapeutic benefits of it. But the reality is the sport in which you are in, that's simply not allowed. I equate this, and I say this to my nieces and nephews, to other people as well. Marijuana is legal in Washington State, Oregon, California, D.C. But guess what? It's not legal in America. marijuana is not legalized in this country.
Right.
Employers out here can require you to take a drug test. And if you fail the drug test, you can't get the job. Now, I feel people who say, man, this makes no sense. It's a natural plant. But if everybody knows the rules and you broke the rules, you suffer the consequences of the rules.
Yeah, you know, Roland, this is tragic, and I've researched this as well. So here's my take on this. Number one, she knew the rules up front. Two, there are extenuating circumstances with this. Now, I want people to understand she could have faced a 3-month suspension because that's based upon the rules of the U.S. Anti-doping.
Yeah, could have been 3 months, which means she's completely out of the Olympics. She still has an opportunity to be put on the 4x100 relay team, but she's going to miss the 100 meters, which is where she was favored to win the gold medal.
So basically, athletes who test positive for a substance of abuse, which THC was newly classified as in 2021, usually receive a 3-month suspension if they can establish that their use of the substance occurred out of competition and was unrelated to the sport performance. Now, she entered into a counseling program, so she is only getting a 1-month suspension. Compare that to Michael Phelps in 2009. He got a 3-month suspension. I know people want to hear Roland see compare this to Michael Phelps. Those are two different situations.
But also for everybody who's watching,
right?
It ain't apples to apples.
Right.
Michael Phelps, a photo was shown.
Right. That's what I'm about to say.
Phelps with a bong.
That's what
which was 6 months after the Olympics,
the 2000 Olympics.
He never tested positive.
Right.
So I've already seen that. Oh no, Michael Phelps, the white boy. They let the white boy.
Well, this is what happens when people recycle BS memes that they didn't go research before they retweeted them and reposted them. This is what happens when you do this. Because if you had done a 5-minute Google search, you would have realized that Michael Phelps lost sponsorship from Kellogg. He lost the Olympics withdrew financial support from him, and his suspension was 3 times as long as Sha'Carri Richardson. Now, to make a long story short, based upon the circumstances here, she's admitted, she didn't say, they lied. She accepted responsibility, and she entered into a counseling program. Based upon the circumstances in this specific case, I think they should do the humane thing and let her compete in the 100 meters based upon the circumstances, and she entered into a counseling program also.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. You say do the humane thing, okay? But there are other athletes.
Sure.
And so again, look, I'm from Texas.
Right.
I would love to see the homegirl from Texas run.
Right.
And we all want to have empathy. We want to have compassion, Brittany. But look, there's another sister I'm going to pull up in a second. Another sister who had gotten suspended. She had gotten suspended, and what happened was she was a hurdler, and her name was Brianna McNeil. She got a 5-year ban because she missed her drug test. Now, she says she had an abortion, and she said she missed the drug test 2 days after her abortion. What happens with their rules, Brittany, is that your drug testing, you don't know when you're going to get drug tested, and so they call you, and it's like, we're on our way. If you don't answer the phone, if you don't indicate where you are, then there's a problem. And this happened actually more than once. Now, she did qualify for the Olympic team. She came in second at the trials. It was 100-meter hurdles. And so what happened was, so she talked about it in terms of what happened. She said why she missed it. And it's called an at-home appointment. An at-home appointment. So this is according to this story. McNeil said that the anti-doping ban derived from her missing an at-home appointment with officials in January 2020. She said she was at home recovering from an abortion that she had 2 days prior to the appointment, and that when officials arrived at her home, she didn't hear anyone. And then, according to this story, she was banned because there were many inaccuracies found in documents that were meant to prove she had an abortion. She called it that it was a miscommunication. But Brittany, there are other athletes who missed their at-home appointment for drug testing, and they've been suspended. And so they make it clear to everybody, these are the rules. You're going to get drug tested a lot. So what do we do? Whether it's Sha'Carri, whether it's this sister who said, well, I missed my at home, I had an abortion, I was at home, but I didn't hear them knocking.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's tough, Roland, because on one hand, sure, I want to say the rules are the rules. You knew what they were in advance. Stick to them, right? But I want to point out that rules are made by people, right? And we need to think about the reason behind those rules, and if those rules always make sense, and if those rules are actually fair. You know, at one point, I believe it was 2011, both CBD and THC were banned, and I believe that change was made more recently, where now it's just THC that's banned, the substance that was in Sha'Carri's blood. So, you know, I think it's tough. And again, I mean, based on the research that I did find, and someone correct me if they saw something else, you know, they have not definitively said that marijuana, you know, is a performance enhancing drug. And if it is
no. It's not that it's a performance enhancing drug. It is on the list of banned substances. Right. From the anti-doping agency.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not.
But Roland, answer me this question because I hear you. But knowing that, so tell me why it's banned. Why is it banned?
It's their rules. It's their rules.
But that's what I'm saying, right?
Here's the deal. Every track and field athlete has to abide by it. It's a bunch of black people who made the Olympic team who didn't smoke weed. And if they do smoke weed, they didn't smoke it before the Olympic trials and they didn't test positive.
I hear you, but what I'm saying is I think that we're seeing a reevaluation, not only in the United States. I mean, we just saw Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas talk about how he is talking about how we need to reevaluate in the United States on a federal level. We're seeing changes globally, and I hope that
I agree.
And I hope that the Olympics, I mean, if nothing else, you know, whether Sha'Carri runs or not, I think obviously she's not going to, at least for her own 100. But I do think that this is high time for us to reevaluate why that is a rule. Why is that a rule? I get it. It's a rule. It's a rule across the board, but it's time for us to reevaluate.
See, Faraji, the thing for me that really jumps out here is, Benjamin Dixon, I'm going to pull up Benjamin's tweet, and I think Benjamin is like wrong as hell on this one. Benjamin's on the show. I like Benjamin. This is the tweet that Benjamin sent out right here. He said, black athletes should just boycott Team America since Team America has such an issue with black athletes. No, I'm sorry, Ben. A whole bunch of black athletes made the team who didn't smoke weed, who didn't test positive, who didn't miss their appointments. I'm sorry. I don't see this as an attack on black athletes because one star messed up. I just don't.
But Roland, I agree with you 100%. But let's look at what Brittany you pointed out. Rules are made by people. That's everything. I mean, we live in a society where rules are made by people. I mean,
yeah. I mean, hell, I own a company. I make rules. Your ass gotta show up at work at 11 a.m. If you walk your ass in here consistently at 1 o'clock, your ass ain't gonna have a job with me.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. The rules are made. Now, here's the other thing. THC, we know it's on the list, but more importantly, it's also a drug. No, it doesn't enhance. It doesn't make you jump faster and all of those things. It slows you down. As an athlete, your speed is everything. Whether you're talking about football, baseball, basketball, track and field, soccer, your speed, your awareness is everything. I mean, there is a reason for this. Now, I think that the larger conversation about all of this, we have to ask this question. Is this the example? If we're talking about push for Sha'Carri, what is the example that we want to set for black girls in track and field? What is the example? What do you say to a black girl, to a young black girl? Sha'Carri is 21 years old. She is, as Roland laid out, from high school to college and the whole nine. She has been in this whole field. But she's 21 years old. She still has a lot of maturity and a lot of growing to do. But for those who are looking at her and the black girls that see themselves in Sha'Carri Richardson, what should we say? See, we talking about the now. We have to look at the future because should not be in a space to advocate for Sha'Carri now, because then that opens the door for us to advocate for what? The next black girl later? No, These are black athletes. If you're an athlete, you take care of your body. They often say your body is your temple. And if that's the message that we want to get across to young black girls and black boys in any field of sport, then we should look at this and then use this as a teachable moment to help them to see that if you break the rules, if you decide not to do what's required of you to do, you're going to suffer the consequences.
I just think here, Michael, and we're going to talk about another story,
sure,
that has an impact that deals with black people in the Olympics, which I think the Olympics, they are dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what, again, that I would say this to, again, my staff. I would say it to my frat brothers. I would say it to my church members. I would say this to my nieces and nephews. I would say this to other family members. I hear you. I do believe that we have this different system. I think it's crazy that right now you've got marijuana, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, mm-hmm. that's legalized in some states, but not others.
Right.
I believe that you have these differing approaches to it. You've got some prosecutors who say they're not going to prosecute minor marijuana arrest. There are people who say you shouldn't be drug testing or causing people to lose jobs or not get jobs because of marijuana. But here's what I know and understand. It ain't the law right now. I think that you can fight to change it.
Right.
I think that you can fight to change with the Olympics. Football players fought for the NFL to alter their rules when it came to marijuana, and they did. The NBA players, they fought to change the rules, to alter it, and they did. And so it's a different approach there. But what we're dealing with here is that all track and field athletes across the world, and I think this is the most important thing that our people watching, and I've been seeing every kind of comment.
Right.
Athletes across the world are giving the same list. Mm-hmm. Now, we know they're cheaters. We know the Olympics banned the Russian team because all of them were doping. We know back in the 80s and 90s, the Eastern Russian, hell, we ain't gonna talk about how they were doping. We could go on and on and on. And we also know the number of American athletes who have been busted for doping and performance-enhancing drugs. This boils down to here. How you cope with grief is something that we have to deal with. But you were preparing for 4 years for this moment. The Olympics is every 4 years. You made the team. You performed well. But part of performing is also the drug test. They all go together. Right. You can't say, well, hey, she could have won the gold. We all let her run. Because every other athlete who went to the U.S. Olympic trial had to pee in that cup. Every single one.
Come on.
Right. Yeah. I think this whole thing is a little complicated. I went and read the rules. And there is an appeals process. Here, one, she accepted responsibility. It's not like she's saying, oh, they're lying on me, they're setting me up. She's accepting responsibility. She told what happened. Two, she entered into a counseling program as well. In the appeals process, based upon the circumstances, her mother died, her biological mother died, and she's dealing with a lot. Now, if it had been a situation where she had tested positive for marijuana previously before other races, and everything I read, this is the first time she's tested positive, well, then I would say no. But in the appeals process, I really hope they take all this into account and let her compete based upon these circumstances. But I do understand the rules. And I also understand, they have an appeals process for a reason as well. But this one here, I think is everything involved, all the details taken into account, I think is different than maybe some other instances that we may see of doping or people purposely in performance enhancing drugs, the Russians, things like that.
Okay, so now let's talk about what I do believe is an anti-black story that we need to be dealing with right here.
Right.
So check this out. Swimming caps, where'd it go? Where's the story? Swimming caps for natural black hair ruled out of Olympic Games. International Swimming Federation rejects the use of soul cap, saying it does not fit the natural form of the head. That right there, Faraji, meaning if your ass was a swimmer, you, Faraji, could not put on a soul cap with that look you got right now. Folks, Soul Cap, I'm gonna show you right now. So Soul Cap, they are a company out of the UK. This is what it looks like. They're a company out. Let's go full screen, please. They're a company out of the UK, and they make swimwear and caps for all hair types. I'm just going to show you. And so this is the tweet that they sent out. They say, with the power of people, changing the water is possible for the first time in history. The incredible Alex Deering will represent Team GB, that's Great Britain. But they here say, thank you to all the swimmers who have given their thoughts and experiences when it comes to the barriers to swimming. It's time for a change. Hashtag swim for all. And then here's another tweet, June 30th. A huge thanks to all who have supported us in our work so far. We don't see this as a setback, but a chance to open up a dialogue to make a bigger difference in aquatics. Michael and Tox. Faraji, now this is bullshit. This right here, because these black, first of all, everybody watching now realize, yeah, black folks, we swimming.
Right. So
what's happened is this has always been a white sport. We ran the video, I think, last week of Cullen Jones, who won medals for the United States. You're now seeing more black swimmers. Well, black folks who wear their hair like yours, Faraji, they ain't wearing them no more swim caps. Now this is nonsense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's what I want to bring our attention to, because the sister Danielle Obi, who serves as the founding member of the Black Swimming Association, she made a very, very important point. It has generally been that Speedo has been the producer of the swimming caps. She made the point saying, Speedo caps don't fit our head. And I can't make this up, and I love the quote. She says, black hair grows up and defies gravity. I want everybody to think about this. It grows up and defies gravity. So that means that thing is coming out. It's just going all types of ways, right? So with that, I think, and I'm with you on this, Brother Roland, like at the end of the day, and we're starting to see in this particular Olympics, there seems to be more, some might say microaggressions. There seems to be more slight on black culture, black expression. We're talking about soul caps right now. We got to talk about the situation where a couple of months ago, Black Lives Matter apparel was banned at the Summer Olympics. We got to talk about Gwendolyn Berry and how they played the Star Spangled Banner and how that situation turned out. I mean, we're seeing that there is, and I get what the Olympics is trying to do through the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, saying that, look, we're trying to preserve the spirit of the sport in the case of oneness and not make people distinct. But guess what? That's not reality. Black swimmers, the hair, the way the body is shaped is different for each person. And that is insane to try to put everybody in this cap, but claim that this thing is going to be inclusive when in reality, it's exclusive. It does not allow athletes to be themselves. It does not allow this platform to allow athletes to express themselves. So this is complete BS.
So here's what's going on here, Michael. And let's just be clear. There has been, whiteness has defined the world.
Right.
Whiteness.
Mm-hmm.
You've had sports like swimming that have been defined by whiteness.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, you had white folks with their hair. And let's be real clear. You've had some other swimmers. You had some folks from Italy. Yeah, Hannibal went over there, and him and them 20,000 Africans did a whole lot of damage over there. You got some other folks. But the reality is, because you're now seeing more black people also reject European hair standards, saying, no, hell no, I want to wear my hair natural. They are going to have to accommodate that. And I'm telling you right now, this to me this is where a lawsuit should be filed. This is why the Crown Act is being passed in America. It outlaws hair discrimination. This ruling here is hair discrimination.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. You mentioned Hannibal Barker. I think you referring to the Battle of Cannae 216 BC, but that's
no. I'm referring to them 20,000 Africans who went over there in Italy and caused some damage. That's why you got a whole bunch of Italians got sickle cell because they're black.
Well, yeah. The Moors were in Italy also. The Moors were in Italy. But when you look at this, man, it's something very interesting that they said here. The FINA, they said that the soul cap does not follow the natural form of the head. What do you call the natural form?
No, white people's heads.
That's
my point. Yeah, first of all, go ahead and say it. See, this is the problem. They don't want to say it, Michael. They should say it doesn't. They should say it doesn't follow white people's head.
But see, they need to highlight this. Wait a second. What do you mean it does not follow the natural form of the head? What are you calling natural? Okay,
white
people are minority in the world.
White?
This is the Olympics. People come from all over the world to compete. White people are the minority in the world. So what do you call it the natural form of the head? They need to be lit up on this. And this is designed to, I think, discriminate against African Americans because we see they're kicking butt in tennis. We see the kicking butt in tennis, right? We know that once we come into certain sports, we start taking over. We know black men used to dominate horse racing, and there was a concerted effort to force us out. We were winning the Kentucky Derbies. We were winning
we got black people in the hammer throw, the shot put. You got black folks in the high jump, the javelin. You got black man. Look. First of all, it's one white boy on Team USA basketball team, Kevin Love, and he don't need to be on. That should be an all black team. Now, what they really saying is, damn, now y'all ass is swimming. Now y'all swimming.
Right. So
we used to be afraid of the water.
Right.
We used to be afraid of the water. Now we all in it.
Well, we were swimming before you had as long as it was white boys and African American boys swimming, we were swimming. It was all right. When it started becoming co-ed and interracial, now you start having a problem. When you go research the history of that, then you start having a problem. When it was white girls swimming with black boys, now you got a problem on your hands. But yeah, brother, this should be highlighted, man. This is discrimination right here. They're really trying to, I think, target us and keep us from winning these golds and swimming also.
This right here, Brittany, there should be a race discrimination lawsuit filed against the Swimming Federation for this ruling. And see, all these black civil rights groups, y'all should be calling out all these Olympic sponsors.
Come on.
Yeah.
See, NBC is giving the IOC billions of dollars. We should be saying, sponsors, speak up. All these major corporations giving the Olympic Committee money. We see, this is how you take your power and you leverage it by saying, don't be silent, corporations. This right here is hair discrimination, Brittany.
Yep. No, I completely agree with everything that people have said. And I think someone mentioned it earlier. You know, anti-blackness is a global phenomenon. It just isn't in the United States. It's everywhere. And we know that this decision is part of just a longer history of discriminations against black people, but specifically black hair. And I know you mentioned earlier, Roland, the Crown Act. And we know just 8 years ago, the #1 complaint filed by black women in the United States with the EEOC was discrimination based on hair. So, you know, I'm not surprised that this is something that's going on at the Olympics. And I can probably guarantee you that the bulk, if not all the people that made the decision are certainly not us, because we know the idea that, you know, the caps don't need a certain size and configuration. Elite athletes don't need caps of this size and configuration. It's some complete racist, discriminatory BS.
All right, folks, I got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to former Kentucky State Senator Charles Booker. He announced he is running against Rand Paul, and already Senator Rand Paul has sent out a racist email. I'm going to show it to you. And this literally, it went out. Charles sent the tweet out 34 minutes ago. The email went out at 1:19 p.m. Charles is going to give his first response to us right here live on Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's next.
I believe that people our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing?
The challenges, there's so many of them and they're complex, and we need to be moving to address them. But I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany. I know this road.
That is so freaking dope.
Hello, I'm Nina Turner. My grandmother used to say, all you need in life are 3 bones. The wishbone to keep you dreaming, the jawbone to help you speak truth to power, and the backbone to keep you standing through it all. I'm running for Congress because you deserve a leader who will stand up fearlessly on your behalf. Together, we will deliver Medicare for all, good jobs that pay a living wage, and bold justice reform. I'm Nina Turner, and I approve this message.
George Floyd's death hopefully put another nail in the coffin of racism.
You talk about awakening America. It led to a historic summer of protest.
I hope our younger generation don't ever forget that nonviolence is soul force.
Priceless.
What's up? This is Aldous Hodge, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Sherri Shepherd, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Hey Roland.
This is Tim Story, director of Shaft. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. What up, y'all? This is Method Man, Mighty Wu-Tang Clan. You watching Uncle Roland Martin, and the show is Unfiltered. Make sure y'all tune in. Laura Ingram, you suck.
Have a good time.
Y'all better ask somebody. Ain't nobody got that kind of footage except Uncle Roro. Slick Rick on stage at the Coca-Cola booth on their main stage at Essence Festival. Yeah, that's how we roll, y'all. This is a live look right now of the Essence Festival, a Live Loud virtual experience happening. You can go to Essence Festival. You go to essence.com, essencestudios.com. Actually check it out. But y'all don't do that until y'all finish watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. So y'all can watch the replay. But again, this is a live look right here of the virtual Essence Festival happening right now. We got so all weekend we're going to be showing you old concert clips, throwback footage, you name it. We're going to be showing you. This is happening all weekend, and so the concerts start. The concert starts, and then of course you're going to have all weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Virtual Festival Essence, and we so appreciate Coca-Cola partnering with us to be able to bring you these Essence Festival throwbacks. All right, y'all.